Hello Internet, welcome back to our golf Let's Play of Cataclysm. Last episode we actually did not accomplish very much. The main thing of note is that we swapped our armor around a little bit. We took off our motorcycle armor and instead are going to wear our Kevlar vest. Now that required us to create something to protect our arms, so we actually made a pair of metal arm guards. That's probably the most significant thing we did in the last episode. And then we spent the rest of the episode just sort of clearing around town and exploring a bit. We're still looking for a hacksaw. I think at one point we had a small horde burst out of a house right near us. That's probably the spookiest thing that happened last episode. But we're really in no danger. We have a good weapon, we have good protection, and it's the early game. So we're pretty set here. So let's jump back into it. I really don't have a plan for today. I think we will just go explore some more. We're gonna kind of low-key read some books every time it's nighttime and try and raise our skills a little bit. We want to keep looking through houses because we want to find a hacksaw, and I can't think of anywhere else to go in town other than garages attached to houses. So we're pretty much just sort of we're limited with the lack of a hacksaw. There's just not much I can do vehicle wise that I want to do. I don't want a vehicle that's only 2 tiles wide interior. I like having 3 tiles. We can attach frames with, with the welder, but we can't harvest frames from other vehicles without, having a hacksaw and manufacturing every frame that we want. I almost typed manufacturing. Let's look for frame. Let's say we wanted to make all these frames ourselves. It takes 7.5 hours per frame. Just can't do that. That's something we're going to require probably like 12 additional frames. It's just too much time, way too much time to invest in that. Whereas if we had a hacksaw, we could pull frames off of vehicles for, I don't know, probably like a 45-minute investment per frame. Now you might say, like, over time, aren't you going to spend more time looking for a hacksaw than you would, just making the frames yourself? It's possible, or it could be the very next house we go to has a hacksaw, So, just gonna explore some. Everyone, welcome back. I think in the last episode we talked about my dating life, how I don't feel comfortable on dating websites, and then we talked about my ideal life, what my ideal life looks like as a result of getting a random question about it. So. We did explore up here. I think we hit this house. Yeah, I can see in the garage there. And I think this is the house where that little horde came from. I don't really know where they came from originally, but we're going to hit some of these local houses where it's probably already mostly cleared out because of us murdering, a decent number of zombies in the area. Not sure where I see these. Okay, zombie child in the north there. Not a concern. We're going to push up. I think we'll head west here and hit these houses. So these zombies should see us here momentarily and come out to meet us. Looks like there's quite a few in this building. So this is the second house where we saw like a little decent sized clustered horde. I don't know why that is. Usually don't see that many in a house unless something has changed recently, possibly. There's no location nearby that they would be coming from. Like there's no park, there's no pool, there's no location that traditionally has a ton of monster density. I mean, there is a park and a cemetery over here, but they're pretty far away. I don't think that's where they're coming from. So I'm not sure why so many are spawning in houses. It doesn't make a ton of sense. There's 3 children here. There used to be a house layout that had a big, like, orphanage style bedroom where there were multiple beds, I think and it would spawn a lot of child zombies. It could be one of those houses. We won't know until we get in there. I think that house has been removed. I think that was one of the, I don't know if they Jasonized it. It was partially hard-coded, I think. So, I don't know. There's a tiny horde here. Not a huge concern. We're not weary or anything, so we can hopefully take these guys pretty easily just kiting them. There's like 7 zombies. Yeah, seeing a huge cluster of child zombies. I bet there are multiple bedrooms up here. And this is just one of the child zombie houses. That's interesting. I haven't seen one in a long time. I thought they might have been removed because they were mostly hard-coded. We do want to kill the Shrieker first. That will draw additional enemies from nearby. You hit me in the eyes, bro. Why is my speed... Okay. And that zombie just died, I think. Would, You bit me on the head. I'm bleeding on the head. Why were you able to grab me, and why was my speed temporarily 85 as I was moving through there? Does moving over corpses count as difficult terrain? That would be interesting. Anyway, what we should do, we shouldn't just try to kite them all. Let's weave in the houses a little bit, have them get broken up, so we probably only have to deal with them, you know, 3 or 4 at a time here. Let's get them stuck on some things, retreat around the corner, and I think we'll make our stand here at the corner. Yep, and you're distracted by the house. Let's move down. We don't want them to come out of the windows to our south. Guess you got me, Boomer. It probably is smarter to just shoot these enemies because there's so many of them. And I don't think meleeing, you know, the Boomer is generally a good idea, but not really a concern. So you're a little faster than I thought. The Shrieker looks like it's a little bit faster than I would have expected. Also a bit strange that there were 2 of them in one house. Shriekers don't evolve from child zombies. Child zombies evolve into child shriekers and child boomers and things. I can hear my neighbor coming home with his motorcycle. Hopefully that's not too disruptive. So I'm not sure why there would be 2 shriekers and a horde of children in one house like that. We'll have to investigate. It's a bit interesting. Anyway, this is boring. Let's talk about something. Got some nasty comments on YouTube over the weekend. I'm not sure. It's Monday now. Not sure what I did that, you know, it's interesting. I don't think I did anything. More and more I'm realizing that people online are terrible because they're bad people. So when I get really nasty comments, like it's especially evident on certain social media platforms. Like on YouTube, it's a little hard because they don't have a history. You can't look at every comment they've ever posted. But if you go on Reddit or on Twitter and you see someone post something like, I hate you, KYS or whatever, if you look at their history, it's all that. Like, it's so clear that it's not like these people, it's not like I did something wrong. The people they're commenting on, it's not like those people did anything wrong. It's super clear that like the people are just terrible. Like the commenters are just a lot of times racist or homophobic or transphobic or whatever the ism, you know, that they particularly are. So you go through someone's history on Reddit and you're like, oh, that guy, that's a really nasty comment. And you click on their name and it's literally just page after page after page of them like telling people they should die and stuff. Okay, so this is like 10 enemies in this one house now. At this point, we see 3 more that we already cleared like 7 enemies that came from up there. I don't know what's going on with this house, but you know me, I really hate when a location has a bunch of enemies and no real reason behind it. So I'm hoping I get up there and there's like something really evident as to why there are so many enemies in one house. And it's just pages of that, you know? And you're like, okay, it's not that you actually have a problem with what someone posted. It's just that you have 8 free hours a day because you have nothing constructive that you do with your life. So you just sit around all day and trash people on the internet because you're like a really... Like, it's not even sad. It's like super pathetic. And it's just super evident that you have nothing better to do. So you just spew hatred at people. So it's really interesting. It's really helped me kind of recognize that people are just like that. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Like my content, don't get me wrong, my content is not super great. Definitely things about my content that could be better. And there are people who complain on my channel or say something that's not very polite on my channel where I'm like, yeah, they kind of have a point. Like, yes, okay, you're right. I should have edited that part out. Or yes, I should have phrased my words a little better. Or you're right, that was a really long pause, or the music was too loud, or that kind of stuff. So people do have valid complaints. But every time I get a comment, man, there's just more enemies in that house. Why? There's nothing else up here. Where are you coming from? Okay, we're just gonna keep clearing them out. Like, at this point, the house is not worth it. Look, there's 4 or 5 more enemies just came out of this house. We've killed like 13 already. Or at least 10. And it's another boomer. Although this one is not a huge boomer. I don't know where they're coming from. And my money, I'll put money down right now. I bet we get up there and there's nothing in that house. Like, I bet there's no reason for there to be that many enemies in the house, and someone was just like, I'll dump a bunch of enemies. Or maybe it is random gen, I don't know. Maybe this isn't something someone laid out. Maybe it's just a bad RNG. You know, we rolled on every table to get extra zombies, you know. Anyway, not to ramble about hateful people. I just, you know, at first when I started YouTube, I took a lot of that stuff really personally. Okay, I don't know where you are. There you are. And as I got better at YouTube, once I learned YouTube too, like they have a ban button, like right next to every comment. All I have to do is click this button and that person disappears from my channel forever. So now when I get comments and it's like a 2-paragraph rant about, like sometimes I say stuff, like every now and then I'll say something like subtly political and occasionally something that's overtly political. And then I'll get a comment where people will be like, well, I don't even want to say, like something really nasty and hateful about a particular group of people. Like it'll be I'll make some mild comment about taxes or whatever, and then someone will go on a rant about a different race in my comments, and they'll type out like a 3-paragraph, like, oh, well, if it weren't for insert group of people, then we wouldn't deal with blah, blah, blah. And I look at the rant and it's like 3.5 paragraphs and I don't read it. I just read like 2 lines to where I hear racism. And I'm like, okay, click the ban button. And it's like that person wasted, you know, probably 3 or 4 minutes at least of their time rambling. And I just push a button and they're gone. It takes me a fraction of a second and your hatred is gone forever and no one can see it but me. And then even I don't see it anymore after I click the button. It just goes to a little section of YouTube that I don't need to ever think about again. It's like you just wasted so much of your time, you know. You could have invested that time in being a non-terrible member of society and whatever. Anyway, this is not a fun line of conversation. Let's pick something else. Let's look at this house, because I don't see any reason why there would be so many zombies in here. This was not a bed. This is just furniture. So there's 1 bedroom. More zombies. Okay, so this is the layout with the multiple beds. So that explains why there were so many child zombies. Does not explain why there were also like 7 adult zombies. And here, you know, we have 3 more here. But it was the kid zombie variant. I think this is supposed to be like an orphanage style house. Or like maybe a foster family or something. Because there's just a ton of beds here and child zombies spawn. Another boomer. It's like the 4th boomer. We killed, what, 2 huge boomers and a small boomer, and now we have another huge boomer? It's ridiculous. Just die, bro. Okay. It's just too much. People think... I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not even manually placed. I just hate so many zombies in one location like that. A nice big living area. Oh, hello, Zambi. Thankfully, we do have the steel spears, so we don't have to worry about combat too much. We're actually pretty... Oh, there's a vehicle here? What am I looking at? Is that a bicycle? Is that a unicycle? What are you? Child's tricycle. Tricycle, okay. Tricycle. Let's not worry about the tricycle. Probably not something I need to drive back to base and keep for myself. And we'll pop in here. Still 1 more zombie. There were just so many enemies in here. And it's like, it's a house that's dominated by bedrooms. So it's just going to be like clothing that I don't care about. Was not worth the time investment we put into it. Take the leather gloves, I guess. I don't even want this stuff. Leather pants, I guess. I don't know why there's leather pants in what is presumably a kid's room. Don't let your kids wear leather pants. That's super weird. Another pair of gloves. Mostly I'll just take the leather gear. We probably should pick up the wool, just because I never need wool until I do need wool, and then when I need it, I don't have it. So probably should be picking those up. Although wool socks are going to give so little in the way of scrap wool that it's not worth it. Jeez. Plus we can find 1 sewing basement where we'll find way more felt patches than we would ever be able to harvest on our own. I don't know that that's worth it. I kind of like balaclava. We'll take the balaclava, I guess. Anyway, So yeah, some nasty comments recently. And I didn't even do anything. Like, my content's been very stable and not amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's just been fine, as it always is. It's just acceptable levels. It's nothing exceptional. I did start editing the intros of my Cataclysm series, which is cool because I never do anything like that in Cataclysm. I don't know that that would super work, like a fully edited video, unless you do something like super comedy focused, like when what's his name, Seth, whatever his name is, did covered a Cataclysm video. I think that was highly edited, lots of jokes and you know, really outrageous type stuff. I think Ambiguous Amphibian did a Cataclysm series like that where it was pretty edited. I don't think that's something I'm interested in doing. I've been editing, so I did mention I'm starting a RimWorld series. I don't want to keep talking about it because, like, it's not going super great and I'm a little worried it's going to be terrible. But I've been putting in a lot of work on that, and each episode I record for about an hour, and like an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, and then I edit it, and when I'm done editing it's like 38 minutes. And the editing itself, so I record for about an hour and then I edit for like 3 hours to get one video, and it's just been real slow and real not good, taking up a lot of my time. I don't even know if it's worth it. You know, on YouTube you gotta balance, like, is this actually a valuable use of my time, or could I be doing something better? This last time we found this variant of house that had a survivor in it. I don't love that. Also, there are traps in here if I recall. Let's get our gun. Well, what's around us? Yeah, get your gun out. Drop item. Yeah, we're gonna have to just drop the spear because we don't have anything. These furniture items. Southeast you hear whumps. So that's a good sign because that implies it's just more zombies. Because we would hear, if there were zombies and a survivor in there, we would hear... Go back to the spear. We would hear, like, shouting. Human enemies in Cataclysm shout, kind of like challenges or taunts or whatever. So the fact that we're just hearing whumps is a good sign. Let's help you out. Come on out. Come on out here. Yeah. Anyway, let's not talk YouTube. People don't like hearing YouTube stuff. But the RimWorld series should be going up soon, probably in a week or so. I spent like 20 minutes today making an arrow in Photoshop, making an arrow that's curved so that I can point to stuff in my series. Is not a valuable use of my time. Okay, click, get ourselves a question. What was the most difficult thing you've ever done? It depends what you mean by difficult. The most difficult emotionally thing that I've ever done is probably when I was incarcerated for a period of time. Probably the biggest emotional toll I've ever taken, being away from family, being away from home, and just the knowledge that you're surrounded by. Like, don't get me wrong, there's good people and bad people who make it to being incarcerated. Not everyone, like, people have this idea everyone in prison is a super terrible person. That's not really the case. The case is more like everyone in prison has done a bad thing. It does not necessarily mean that they, as a whole person, are bad. You know, because there are plenty of people who have remorse or immediately regret it after whatever they've done, you know, that sort of stuff. So, like, don't get me wrong, it's not you're not surrounded by bad people. It's not every person is bad, but there's a huge percentage that are like super terrible people. And just being surrounded by that, being away from home. I was pretty young, you know. I was 19 when I committed my crime, which is, like, you know, very, very young to be surrounded by a lot of people who are like predators and terrible people. But anyway, it was not a great time in my life. Glad to have that behind me, living every day, being a better person than I ever have been. So happy to have made all the changes I've made in my life. And then difficult, like, challenging, probably is YouTube stuff, because there was basically, I came into it with nothing and learning so much about stuff that's super technical. Like I know most of you who watch this are not familiar necessarily with the work that I've done, because my Cataclysm series are like super basic. But making Twitch alerts, I learned how to animate. You know, I've learned how to just do basic video editing stuff and chroma key and like I know more about video editing than I ever thought I would know, like delta frames and all this crazy stuff. It's like, it's super technical, and there are a lot of times when I don't understand equalization and all the sound treatment and stuff. A lot of that stuff is like, it's not difficult. Some people can just do it because it makes sense to them, but for me, I'm like not technically minded at all. So making my little Twitch alert that I made for on Twitch when someone would follow me, I'll try in editing to put it at the top of my screen. I don't know that I still have the raw file, but it was just a little knife that comes in and smacks my symbol, and then it would have the person's name in text over there. And just doing that, it took me like, I mean, I want to lie and say it took me like 6 hours, but that's not true. It probably took me like 10 hours because I had no idea what I was doing. I was constantly making mistakes. I outputted in the wrong resolution and had to start all over from scratch because you couldn't just scale it up. It had to be, oh, that thing was a nightmare. And now I know a lot more about editing and After Effects and Premiere Pro and all that stuff. But doing that work was like super challenging and technical and just kills me. Over the weekend, I took music, which is what you should be hearing in the background right now, from Stream Beats, which I will plug Stream Beats. It's Harris Heller is a YouTuber and Twitch streamer who made copyright-free music. He started his own record label just to verify that music would remain kind of in the free for use, not to get you content matched or anything. And like I have a license. He put out a license, so I actually have a license for this music that I can, if anything ever comes up on YouTube or whatever, I can actually show them like I have a license. This is from this record label. I have the rights to this music, or the broadcasting rights or whatever it is, not actual like ownership of it. But anyway, just taking that music, his music is like super. It's not really my favorite kind of music. It's a lot of, like he would call it EDM or lo-fi or whatever. That's probably what's in the background, is some lo-fi music. It's not my favorite thing in the world, and a lot of the files have kind of, in my opinion, a misbalance between the drums and the actual music. And then once I equalize the music so that it fits behind my voice, it's, again, super technical. I don't want to... So, I don't know how to talk about it. Basically, the human voice exists over like a spectrum, right? I have a pretty deep voice, so if I just put music behind, you would think you can just slap music on a video, turn it down, and have it in the background. Well, that doesn't really work, because my vocals are kind of bassy, and a lot of music, especially lo-fi stuff, has that bassy element to it. If I just do that, then my own voice exists on the same frequencies as the music, and it all kind of muddles together and becomes really unpleasant. So in order to put music behind my video, I actually have to kind of carve out, through equalization, a little trough that my voice can sit in so it doesn't conflict with that particular frequencies in the audio, in the music. So, which is complicated. So in order to do that, I have to EQ the music. I also have to balance the audio levels of the music, because after EQ, it completely takes the higher sounds and makes them much louder, which in this case is a lot of the drum beat. Because he uses like a, I don't know the different drums, but anyway, and no one cares. Anyway, it's a lot of work to do that kind of stuff and to learn, because I never knew how to do any of these things until I started doing YouTube. And something as simple as throwing music in the background of a video actually took me over the weekend. I took the album that's playing right now. I treated the audio so that it would fit with my vocals. Then I adjusted, you know, obviously like the volume and basic stuff like that. But also I had to put a limiter on it to make sure that the drum beats did not exceed all the other sounds, because they were much louder than the actual music after EQ. Just a lot of that little stuff that you don't think about that actually makes up a lot of time. It takes time to do that. So here we found a LMG. I'm not actually interested in this. The +1 is probably a bipod. We should look at that just to verify. Where is... Oh, it's a shoulder strap. We don't really need a shoulder strap. They're very easy to make. So the mods on it aren't worth it, and it probably just has a belt of ammunition in it, which of course we will take. That 130 rounds that we just found probably makes up almost all the shooting we've done in the last 3 or 4 episodes. So that's pretty great. That's pretty great. We just defrayed the cost of our ammo usage. And of course we'll take the MRE and IFAK as well. The IFAK I think has standard materials. I don't think it varies. I don't know if they added partially used IFAKs or not. Mostly I'm looking for, yeah, it has tourniquet, presumably hemostatic powder in here somewhere. Yes. So lots of little valuables that we want. So that's great. And we will unload the ammo. Oh, I see. We unloaded. Wait a minute. Why was there 2 belts listed? 0. But when I went to unload, it showed the gun and the ammo belt. Maybe the gun is actually a container for the ammo belt. Doesn't really matter. We'll take that back to base and we'll swap it out. Anyway, let's go retrieve our spear before I forget about it. Not to ramble. Man, I always come back to talking about YouTube. I really shouldn't do that. I'm sorry, internet. I know a lot of you just do not care. I occasionally get comments where people are like, yeah, you talk about YouTube too much. And then I feel guilty. What was even our question? Most difficult thing you've ever done? Other difficult things. Scariest thing I ever did, I went whitewater rafting when I was a teenager. I can't swim. That was pretty terrifying. They give you a vest, but they also tell you, like, hey, if you fall out of the boat, you need to swim as hard as you can in this direction or you might die. And I was like, can't swim. Can't swim. And I went anyway because I'm a dope. My girlfriend talked me into it. I was like, probably like 17, 18. I don't even remember. I think I was still in high school. Might have been the year I graduated. Very scary. Not a fun. not super fun. It was really interesting and it was a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful place, but yeah, as a non-swimmer, just very scary. Was probably honestly like a negligent thing for me to even go. I shouldn't even have gone. It was a big group of us though. I think we had 3 rafts total, and of course they give you guides and everything. It's not like they send you out there alone, but still pretty scary. We stopped at one point on the trip and they had us climb a rock face, which was pretty high, and they told us to jump into the river because it's like really deep water there and you'll be fine. And I was like, no, I can't swim. I'm not gonna jump off a cliff. Basically, I don't know how high it was, but it seemed pretty freaking high, and definitely not a lot of fun. Was scared. And again, was with my girlfriend, and she was like, come on, I'll jump with you. We'll jump at the same time. It'll be fun. And I was like, I can't swim. And they were like, oh, well, your vest will pop you right up. It'll be no big deal. And I was like, okay. You know, I was with a bunch of guy friends as well. And my girlfriend, you have to be tough, masculine, and everything. So I climbed up on this cliff, big old rock jutting out over the river. And I friggin' was with my girlfriend, and they were like, just hold your breath and your vest will pop you up. So I jumped, and as soon as I jumped, I held my breath, but falling took so long that I wanted to breathe again. So like I knew the water was, like I closed my eyes, I didn't see it coming, but I knew I had very little time to take another breath. So I gasped in a breath really quick and hit immediately. And then I sink, of course, because I just dove from a really high cliff into some water. And I can't really swim, so I'm kicking, and I'm starting to be like, I'm kicking, and several seconds are going by. I'm not surfacing. I'm starting to freak out, and then I popped right up and was like, okay, never again. Shouldn't have done that. That was a horrible experience. Shouldn't have done that, and never again. I will never do this again. And you know, we got back in the rafts and continued whitewater rafting. Everybody jumped, and I was one of the only people. I think we had some like adults with us who did not jump, like older people who kind of were, like I said, I think I might have been like 17, 18. So we had chaperones with us basically, and yeah, some of them didn't jump, but I was, young guy, you know how it is. You feel like you got to be tough, especially when you're with your guy friends. You have all this pride of like, I'm a man, I can do this, whatever, and you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of your girlfriend. You know, as a teenager, your relationships are so shallow that it's built on like just liking each other and being physically attracted to each other, but you don't really know each other because you don't have the depth of personality that you have as an adult. So it was a lot of like, I have to look good for people around me. I shouldn't have done it. It's super scary. Anyway, that's enough about that. So that's probably the hardest, one of the harder things I've done is whitewater rafting as a non-swimmer, someone who can't swim. Why can't I drop any of this stuff? You're not letting me drop anything. Why is that? Oh, it's all in the IFAC. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Drop this, drop this. Got another military rucksack. Probably not going to use those. I used to use them a lot, but I'm actually more of a... like, I'm just a backpack guy now. It's just less encumbrance, less to deal with. And thankfully, since we shed our motorcycle armor, our encumbrance is so low, we really don't even have to worry about dropping our bag as much. Which is great, because I never remember to drop my bag. And we do have hemostatic powder. We probably could do with some more makeshift bandages. I think we're okay for now. We're going to head back to that house we were looting because it had some books I wanted to pick up, I think. So we'll head up there real quick. I don't know, other challenging things I've done. Like I said, being incarcerated, very difficult. Just because I was not really an adult, and suddenly you're surrounded by very serious people who have done horrible things. Like, don't get me wrong, you know, I don't like talking about it, but I committed assault when I was 19. I was not a good person. I was a bad guy who, you know, I fought a lot. I was very angry. I had all kinds of personal depression. I was womanizing. I was drinking. I was, you know, I was not a good person. I mean, I didn't really drink that much. I don't like saying those things because then people think that I'm excusing it. It wasn't alcohol. I didn't really drink until I was 21. It wasn't me being an alcoholic. I was just a bad person, frankly. But my teenage bad person was nothing compared to, you know, like you commit assault when you're 19 and it's just like, it's not on the same, like you get up there and it's like, hey internet, so I'm going to cut out some sections of this video. I ended up talking about someone that I knew who committed murder. And it's too dark. It's too dark for YouTube, so I'm gonna cut that part out. The TLDR, I don't know how much I'm gonna leave in. I don't have the footage in front of me right now, but TLDR is that I was a young man who did some bad things and then was suddenly put in a place incarcerated where I was surrounded by people who were like far beyond anything I'd ever done in my life. Much, much worse things, terrible things that people have done. And the point is, and the point I was trying to convey is that I was a young guy who, and then suddenly I was just thrown into among the wolves basically, and was just a scared kid, was I think is what we were talking about. So yeah, if there's any awkward cuts or I cut out some footage, we're not really doing anything important. We were just looting and then heading back to base, but I'm going to cut that part out. So sorry about that. Sorry I'm not more professional. Wish I were a better YouTuber. All right, back to the content. And I was not on the same level as those people. It was very scary and very difficult once I realized, you know, how significant of a, like, because, you know, when you're 19, you think you're tough, you know, especially if you've been in fights in your life and stuff like that. You think you're tough. You think you can handle anything. I'd been through so much trauma as a young person that I thought, like, nothing could ever faze me. I could do this standing on my head. And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, this is so much worse. A lot of these people are so much worse than anything I've ever done in my life. I don't know. Anyway, I don't like talking about it. Moving on. I think we're just going to wrap the episode, honestly. We didn't really do much. Mostly we were clearing out that one house that really just didn't amount to anything of value to us. We got some leather gear. That's about it. And we'll call the episode here. Everyone, thanks for watching. Sorry I got talking about being incarcerated. I try not to talk about it, but it has had such a profound impact on the person I am. Like, I'm so much better of a human being now than I was before. And part of that is because I went through, you know, being a bad guy and being incarcerated, and then I changed my life, and everything is so much, don't get me wrong, things are hard financially and all that, but like life is so much better now than what it was before, and I'm a better human being than I have ever been at any point in my life, because the things you go through shape you. Anyway, that's enough of that. Everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll probably get a few nasty comments about being incarcerated. Every time I mention it, somebody hassles me about it. But anyway, that's enough. Shut up. Okay, that's the end of the episode. Everybody, I'll be back with more Cataclysm content in the near future, and I'll see you in the next video.